Welcome to late night debugging. So it's 1:03 a.m. at this very moment, and you can imagine what is happening to me. So today I was ready to deploy some new changes to our production server because we've made a couple of updates. So we've made progress in the development, and I need to release them to production. And yeah, if you are new here, you're welcome. And those of you who have watched the video before, I've been talking about the product we're building called Granted, and we are supposed to seed our production database with a lot of grants. So the grant database that we have created or collated, we need to have that on production so that users will have access to them. And to be able to do that, I had to make a few updates to the code base. Now I'm done with the updates and we're ready to start pushing some of those data onto production. So it's been a couple of hours. I've been trying to get everything to production, and I'm using Prisma as the ORM. And if you have ever used Prisma before, you would agree with me that when it comes to migrations, Prisma sometimes can be a headache. So you have to be very cautious in order not to break your production database and have to reset it. So I've taken all those cautionary measures and now everything is set. But unfortunately, after deploying everything to production using our CI/CD pipeline, which we created with GitHub Actions, I am unable to log in. The funny thing is that initially I didn't understand. I tried everything. I debugged the whole thing. So at a point I had to stop the PM2 process. PM2 is the process manager I'm using to run the Node.js application. So I had to stop the PM2 manager and run it in dev mode. So instead of instead of using the build version, I'm running npm run dev to run just in development. And interestingly, when I run it in dev, everything works fine. But that was when I got the console logs in. I realized that, oh no, there's no user with the credentials I'm trying to log in. And the reason that escaped me was because the plan is to have the initial super admin user created anytime I do a setup. So the first time I set it up, I should have created a super admin user. And because I've been doing it on my other environments, the assumption was that I've already done it. It turns out I hadn't done it. So there was no user with that account. And it wasn't a big deal because I already have a script that I was going to run to generate the user account. So I ran that script and now I am very certain that the user exists. So we tried logging in. It worked whilst I was in the dev environment. Once it worked, I knew that, okay, now this works. Let me switch on to the production setup that we have using PM2 to manage the process. I tend to PM2 and the system is no longer working, which is very strange. It is showing internal server error. In fact, some of the errors that I've run into, I've tried to research on it. I've seen some posts on Reddit, some on Stack Overflow, and some on GitHub, some GitHub discussions. Some points to various environment variables. In fact, along the line, I also discovered that I had some required environment variables that I didn't provide on the production. So in the way we are handling it right now, our environment variables are kept as GitHub Secrets. Then when we are deploying to production, the GitHub Actions will combine all these environment variables into an .env file that it will upload to the server. So anytime that we introduce a new environment variable, we have to make sure we have added it to GitHub Secrets. Then we have to also add it to our CI/CD pipeline, which is the GitHub Actions code. And that easily escapes me. That part easily escapes me. So now I've added all the required environment variables and I've done the redeployment. It takes a while to deploy, and I think that's one of the things that I don't really like about CI/CD pipelines, because sometimes you have to sit down and wait for it to deploy. Unfortunately, the one that I'm trying to deploy right now just failed. I need to figure out, oh, okay, so invalid YAML file. I need to fix whatever the problem is. Okay, yeah, so I've given the error message. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I've given the error message to Cursor to figure it out as I'm chatting over here. So what I did was, after I've deployed to production again, I tried logging in and it said something went wrong. Like, that was the error that it gave, that generic error that we have when we are not too sure what is causing the failure. So I was concerned about it. I went on to the EC2, the server itself, to stop the process once again and try in dev mode, like run the npm run dev command, and it got started. I was able to log in successfully. So now it's becoming very difficult to understand what is happening, because when I run it as in dev mode, everything works fine, but when I run it as production using the process manager, then there are problems. And that's where I'm trying to figure it out. Is it the environment variables? Is it that the build that is happening on GitHub, it's not capturing everything? Like, what exactly is wrong? And I've also realized that there are some permission issues, so I'm trying to update the GitHub Actions to update all the files that we're going to execute, so that we don't run into the permission issue. So for now, my hypothesis is that the only reason it's not working is because of the permission issues, but I'm not too sure about that, so I'm just going to keep trying. Yep, I'm going to keep trying to fix that by pushing some new code, the updated workflow. Okay, so hopefully, Kesa, I hope you have solved the problem. All right, so I'm just going to wait on this to deploy. It takes a while. I might even sleep before it is done deploying. The last deploy that happened took about 10 minutes 21 seconds. So let's see how soon this would finish or not. But it's past 1 something and I need to get some rest. All right, so this is what I've been up to. In fact, yesterday I told you about the XAI, the Grok newsletter that I created, the tags I created in Grok. This today as well, it came up and I saw some pretty cool news, and yeah, I think I like the fact that the AI is there on its own and it's researching at 6 p.m. every day and sending me newsletter or feedback on what's happening in the world of AI. And I learned a couple of things that I didn't even know. And the fact that WindSurf was just acquired by Cognition, and that was news I didn't know about. And the fact that Trump is investing about 70 billion, I think they were announcing, not like Trump is investing, but they announced the 70 billion dollar projects, the investment into AI and energy. So yeah, I think that having gotten that tax that is running every single day and giving me such information It's really good. And hey, just feel free and check out Grok. This is not me advertising or anything. I'm not paid to say this, but I think it's a cool to have feature where you are able to schedule a task and the AI does it for you. All right, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you want to see more of it, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also leave your comments down below, especially those of you who want to motivate me to keep going. Please, I encourage you to leave a comment and say some nice things to me so that I keep going. It's usually very difficult to keep going, especially around this time where things are not working. I mean, the brain tells you, why I told you if you want to make a video, because it's not working. Yeah, you're tired, you need to sleep, with all of those excuses. It's just because I know someone might watch it and find some inspiration from it, or based on what is happening in my life, they would also be able to motivate themselves to get something done. So yeah, you also go ahead and motivate me by leaving some interesting comments in the comment section. Thank you, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye bye.